I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you would stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to everyone who's here in Village Hall and also those watching from home. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Present.
Trustee Gatt?
Present.
Trustee Kazam?
Present.
Trustee Goff?
Present.
Trustee Wigginton?
Present.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Present.
All present.
Okay, again, welcome everyone. The first order of business is approval of the Board of Trustees minutes from December 6th, 2022. I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
Make the motion.
Second. Okay, motion and a second. Any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. We'll be at correspondence. Madam Clerk.
I have two letters here, Mayor. The first one is from Jill Wakefield, President of the Peoria Heights Chamber of Commerce, and it reads as follows. Dear Mayor, Chief, and Trustees, thank you so much for your recent sponsorship of a Kringle Hut for Peoria Heights Chamber of Commerce Kris Kringle Market in the Heights. The Kringle Huts are an integral part of creating a festival holiday experience in the Heights for community members young and old. A Village of Peoria Heights plaque will be prominently displayed on the Kringle Hut as a constant reminder of your contribution to this event. Your generosity helps build a magical event for young and old to celebrate the holidays in Heights now and in the future. Hope you have a blessed holiday season and beyond. Sincerely, Jill Wakefield, President. I also have a letter here that it reads as follows. Dear Mayor Phelan, I got up this morning around 6:30 and discovered my water pressure was about 50%. At first I thought maybe the kitchen sink line was frozen. I didn't think that was hardly the issue since the temperature was 32 degrees. As the morning progressed, the water pressure didn't improve. I then realized there was a major water leak at the 1200 block of Hines Avenue. The Public Works crew showed up about 9 a.m. to set up barriers, and around 11, the tractor excavator showed up and dug a deep hole. I walked up to the water break and Chris Chandler filled me in. They had to shut off water on Hines in order to fix the 6-inch main. He even showed me the piece of pipe that had a 2-inch diameter hole in it. They got the necessary materials and had it repaired by 2 p.m. I had full water pressure by 2:30. I was impressed. I thought you should know the Peoria Heights Public Works crew is doing a great job, and I wanted to pat them on the back for a job well done. Sincerely, Tom Horseman, 1106 East Hines Avenue, Peoria Heights, Illinois.
All right, and while we're on the subject of Public Works, I do want to take this opportunity to thank the Public Works Department who were out 8 hours on Christmas Day or longer, making sure that people in the village had water. So thank you so much for spending time away on one of the biggest holidays of the season, away from your families and out making sure the community was well served. Thank you. All right, we'll be at comments from the audience. If anyone would like to address the board, please come forward to the podium and give your name and address, and try and keep your remarks 5 minutes or less. Anyone here tonight to address the board? Going once? Going twice? Public comments closed. We'll go on to old business. Any old business to come before the board? Hearing none, we'll get right into new business. The first is Administration and Finance. It's approval for the use of Tower Park for the Farmers Market on Thursdays, May 25th through September 28th, 2023. Trustee DeVore would ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the use of Tower Park for the farmers market.
Second, please.
Second.
Go ahead, Sarah. Then Julie's out there. I know she might want to comment on this.
Yeah, so Julie is here today to talk to us about allowing them to use Tower Park again this year for the farmers market. So last year was the first year for the farmers market. I think being a first year market, it was pretty successful. I know she wants to add a couple of things to maybe some things that we would help them provide for that. So I'll have Julie explain what she's kind of got going on.
All right, welcome, Julie.
So thank you, Mayor and Chief and Trustees. First of all, I'd have to say this is a very short end of May to end of September event every Thursday. And then last year, I felt like I was Darwin's evolution experiment. experiment because we went from being 2 managers of the market to 1. We went from a parking lot to a grassy lot, parking lot of thank you KDB Group, grassy lot to thank you Dave Williams, to thank you Village of Peoria Heights because we brought it up here to Tower Park, which was a real game changer. And in so many ways, it felt so much more like the community. We're highly visible on Prospect Road. We saw that families came and they stayed. I introduced music. We had food trucks on Prospect Road that I guess in my requests, it would be just to be able to use Tower Park, to be able to do what we did the last 3 markets in September is really when we were here up at Tower Park, and it's to use the curbside for food trucks. I think we used 1 outlet or 2 outlets off the stage. And really, that's about it. You know, having restrooms nearby and the playground right there, it's just, it was quintessentially villagey.
Questions?
This one's for Mr. Aldridge. With the construction of Tower Park, the playground, is that going to run into May?
Yeah, I just wrote that down on my list here, so we'll have to find out when the start is and then try to complete before that date, or at least get out of the way.
Okay.
You know, because we may want to use part of the parking lot for a staging area, things like that.
Right.
So we'll have to consider that date.
Okay.
So, gentlemen, how long do you think that construction would last? In just a few days, or?
No, I think that construction's going to be at least a month.
Oh,
and a
really?
half, I
Okay.
think, yeah.
All right.
And maybe longer to clean it up. But I think the goal would be try to get out of the way, you know, of the parking area and the farmer's market area as soon as possible.
Okay.
So just that's great to know, because what I'll do is when I had our vendors, and when I say my vendors in my booths, they were farmers, they were handmade items. So the park was pretty handy. It had 3 ways to get in. So I would have vendors actually come and unload off Prospect, come and unload off Kingman, or come and unload in the parking lot. So I'll work around whatever you have staged up there. And then if it gets to a point where you'd like me to have my vendors, because they would park on Kingman in the parking lot, if you'd like to have the vendors park, I could ask Gary Pearl if maybe we could use his parking lot. The hours last year were 3 to 7, and there's a distinct change of once school starts. So 3 to 7 worked really nice, but then in September, you know, after school started, we really saw it being like that 4 to 7 was nicer. I also like how it carried over and spilled into the, you know, early evening hour. So I'm really tempted to keep it like a 4 to 7. You know, just believe me, we've tweaked and tweaked and tweaked, and we'll still keep tweaking.
Any other questions? Mr. Aldridge, are you aware of any grant money out there to help promote or pay for farmers markets?
We'll look. I mean, we applied for a DCO grant this year for festivals and events, so there could be, if they have that grant again. And that grant this year, we applied for to help support the Chris Kringle market. But there could be grants like that out there again.
Okay.
Specifically festivals and events grants, yeah.
Anyone else? If you're ready for the question, Madam Clerk. call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
That passes. Thank you, Julie, for doing that. Looking forward to it again. Trustee DeVore, anything else under administration or finance?
No, Mayor.
Mr. Administrator? Nothing, Mayor. Okay. We'll move on to Public Works. Trustee Goff. The first is approval of an engineering agreement with Herman and Associates in the amount of $31,512 for construction engineering for the Forest Park Drive Mill and Overlay Project. Trustee Goff had asked for a motion to approve.
I would make a motion to approve the engineering agreement with Herman Associates.
Second? Second. All right, go ahead, Trustee Goff.
We just need to set them up to go ahead and finish what I think they've already, in essence, begun, engineering and preparation for the repairs that are going to be done on Forest Park Drive.
Okay. Questions?
Yeah, Mayor, could you refresh my memory? What are we doing to Forest Park Drive? Are we just resurfacing?
Well, they're going to mill the center section to a certain depth, and then the edges, I think they're milling deeper and completely overlaying from Prospect to Gardner Lane.
Okay.
And then they'll restripe.
All the way down Gardner
Yeah.
Lane?
Well,
to
not down
20
Gardner Lane, to Gardner Lane.
To Gardner Lane?
Gardner Lane's actually a county highway.
That's County Road.
Is it? So the county, this is off topic, but so county would handle like the striping and that at the end of Gardner where it meets 29?
I'll let
Because they're
trustee Goff
non-existent.
answer that.
That would be a county or a state
Or state issue, okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't,
I think the city of Peoria does a lot of the county striping with,
Yeah.
close to the city limits, but the state might as well. But have we coordinated with the county while we're doing this project by chance, or?
not that I know of.
Is that,
I'm not sure. No, I have not.
I mean, I think we should probably let the county highway engineer have a discussion with them. What else, trustee Weisenberg?
Nothing else. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett? Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next, we would be at approval of an MFT resolution in the amount of $523,999.64 for construction and construction engineering of Forest Park Drive Mill Overlay Project, consisting of $373,999.64 rebuild funds and $150,000 in state MFT funds. Trustee Goff, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the MFT resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, go ahead, trustee Goff.
This is just part of the funding that we're going to have for doing the work to do the mill and overlay, you know, with this money coming from state MFT funds, some of it from Rebuild Illinois, and some of it from the strict state funds.
Any questions? Go ahead,
One
trustee.
more.
Yeah, go right ahead.
It reminded me of a conversation I had with the executive director of the Park District. So Forest Park Drive, is that a village street or is that a Park District street that we maintain? What is it?
Village.
It is village? Okay. Because I thought I had heard that it was Park District and we just kind of,
I believe the only Park District road would be Grandview Drive, but I'll stand corrected.
okay.
The Park District takes care of all the trees and the forestry on that road, but we maintain.
On the road, okay. Okay.
Trustee Goff, and I appreciate you, Mr. Mayor, saying that where this money is coming from. Because I was looking at and just conveniently, we get a treasurer's report this meeting, and so the $523,999.64 outpaces what we have for MFT in our own budget. But this money is coming from things that are not listed in this treasurer's report. This is coming from the Rebuild Illinois funds and state MFT funds. Doesn't touch this MFT that we see in our treasurer's report, correct?
That's my understanding for those funds, yes.
Okay.
Hold on.
So just to provide some clarification, the treasurer's report for November 2022, there's two listings, the motor fuel and the locomotor fuel. There's $457,000 currently in the motor fuel. That is a combination of state MFT funds and rebuild funds that are currently available. We will continue to receive state funds for the next we will receive them monthly. So we will continue to accrue funds towards this project in that. The fund below that, the local MFT fund, is funds that are brought in and taxed locally by the village.
From our gas
And-
tax.
Yes, and I believe Trustee Goff will address those in a moment.
Okay.
So, sorry, trustee Wiggin. So the funds that we're approving are coming out of the motor fuel line?
They're
item?
coming out of the motor fuel, yes.
Does that answer your questions?
Yeah, and is that so that number that I'm seeing currently in there, that represents, how long does it take to get to that number is what I'm, that balance.
We receive on average about $20,000 a month in state MFT alone.
Okay,
Does that help?
yes.
Okay.
And I think this discussion is healthy because it illustrates the importance of MFT, which is motor fuel tax, and the price of a gallon of gasoline and the tax on that is very complicated, but we have a lot of need here in the village when it comes to maintaining roads, and it's very important. One of the projects coming on War Memorial Drive will generate more motor fuel tax, which is important to us to maintaining infrastructure, but I just wanted to point that out, and thank you for your questions. Anyone else?
Do we know how long it's been since we've done, like, resurfaced Forest Park?
A complete resurface?
Yeah,
More than 20 years.
okay, when was the last time we did an overlay?
The last overlay would have been the resurface that they did, and that was, I know that was more than 20 years ago. Now, we've done patching. I think, did we do any kind of a seal coat? Do you remember?
We did seal coat it,
We did do a seal coat, so.
But I know, it's been 18 or 19 years anyway. I think they redid it right when I started, which would have been 19 years
Okay,
ago.
okay.
So, I mean, this hill has lasted us, almost 20 years, so.
And that's the benefit of doing a mill and overlay is that if you're doing patching, there's always a way for the water to get in. When you do a mill and overlay, if it's done right, it keeps the water out, and water's the enemy, so, especially
Yeah.
on that hill.
And they've done coring, and that's the reason they're doing thicker on the sides, is they can tell from doing the coring that it needs to go deeper to last longer. And the middle has held up a lot better than the sides. But that's what the engineering department does.
Superintendent Chandler, did they say how long this would take?
I think they want to say 2 to 3 weeks.
They estimated 2 to 4 weeks. They were hopeful it would be on the shorter side of that,
Okay,
but
okay.
During that time, would the entire hill be closed, or
It will be closed,
That's
yes.
painful.
yes. But it will be advertised beforehand, and the village will coordinate with the houses that are at the bottom of the
I
hill.
get to the hill, but
It's just a lot safer and a lot quicker to do it all at once instead of trying to shut down one side and do one side.
Yeah,
that decision we made
to do it all at once.
I think that the numbers really do help, though, and I appreciate the scale of when this, and that was a great question, Trustee DeVores, the scale of this project, but how long it's been since we've done something like this. Just a quick thing, using the numbers that you gave me, Stephanie, is when I was, this represents like almost 2.5 years worth of that MFT, that state stuff that we get in, but for a 20-year investment, hopefully, and with a road that ties both our two parts of our community together, probably is a good investment, so.
Thank you. Anyone else? I assume it just occurred to me that we'll probably need a plan for public safety since the road will be shut down for a long period of time.
Yeah, everyone will be notified, all the emergency service will be notified on the closure.
Okay, but I mean, it will make it a little bit more difficult for police and fire to,
Yeah, we have some alternate routes that only we have, so we'll utilize those. But yeah, we will make sure everyone's notified and posted, and if they'll be posted.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, anyone else? Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gadd? Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next, approval of a resolution in the amount of $82,800.41 committing local funds for construction and construction engineering of the Forest Park Drive Mill Overlay Project. Trustee Goff?
I would ask for an approval of the resolution.
There's a motion, a second?
Second.
Okay, go right back to you, Mark.
All right. Once again, these are funds that will round out what we need. They come from our local MFT line item, and that's what we collect in motor fuel tax, 2 cents a gallon, I think, something like that on every gallon of gas that's sold in Peoria Heights is what goes into that. So that would be what we'll need to finish the project.
So, so Jessica, you know what the question is now. So that's 82, and that number's 52. So this is going to come in time? That's the plan?
Yes.
That is my understanding.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Just to explain real quick, this project has been in the work for like 3, 4, 5 years. And now we're getting to the end where we have this rebuild funds to use, and we need to use them. And that's why we're on the schedule that we are on. But the price has gone up quite a bit since we began planning the project. Just to explain.
So budget plans have obviously had to be adjusted as time moved along, so, but we're covered, it's budgeted.
It is. It's, okay.
We've been talking about this for, Superintendent Chandler said, almost 3 years. Yes.
So, but where do we get that delta? Where do we find that? You know, the 82 versus the 52?
Well, as Stephanie stated, the money that we have coming in is still ongoing. We still bring in money monthly, and that's an average of about $20,000. Is that what you said, Stephanie?
Yes, for the state. It's a little bit lower for the local. There may be a small cash flow timing, but honestly, the project will be completed in May and then paid out several months afterwards. So by the time we hit the actual payout date,
Okay.
I've done projections. You know how I do projections. We will have the funds.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, incidentally, in a meeting with IDOT last month, they mentioned that I think the cost of materials for roads has gone up 20%. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Wayne, but, so it's inflated. Anyone else? All right, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Trustee Goff, anything else? Public Works?
I would mention that I took the opportunity to stop over on Lake Street today, and the main that we are replacing there was going in there. When I stopped and talked to the guys from here, they were welding the pipes together. It's plastic weld. And had the pipe all laid out on the ground and getting ready to go, and they were waiting for a locate of the gas line that was there, and then I think they were going to get started. So it looks really good. The pipe that's going in is high-density polyethylene. It is essentially a forever pipe. None of our grandkids will ever have a problem with this pipe, barring a major earthquake.
Would you or Mr. Aldridge give us an update on Woodard and Curran, where they're at on the water study?
Yeah, again, the capital plan basically is complete, so identification of projects for the 5-year plan that we asked for and also for the 20-year plan is basically complete. So the next part is how do we finance these projects? So that's what we're looking at now, including various things like rate, could be grants, and it could be bonding and other types of financing for these projects. So we're now getting in deep to the financing part to see how that coordinates with the capital plan that's been established.
So please let me know when you are ready and they are ready. I'd like you and Woodard and Curran to present their final report to the board.
First we'll get together with smaller groups of trustees, I believe. That's our plan.
Okay.
And kind of coordinate that, work with them as we get to end and
All right.
get these financing alternatives understood a little bit better.
While you have the floor, is there anything else you're working on? You mentioned the park that you'd like to report on.
Several things. IDOT, many of you know, had some public meetings here in the month of December on Galena Road, Route 29. I think that all went very well.
For everyone watching at home, would you walk us through how that process works and why they're doing this?
So this wasn't, well, one of the meetings was a public meeting, but they also meet with property owners that are very much affected by the project. So as you know, there's some properties that are very close to the road that will be affected by the project. So they specifically talk to those property owners and invite them to special meetings and tell them how things will unfold as far as if there's going to be land acquisition, things like that. So those meetings happen. The project itself, as you probably know, will include 4 lanes, a bidirectional turn lane down the middle, and a bike trail on the west side, separated by a 5-foot buffer. So the roadway is substantially different. I think the bidirectional turn lane will vastly improve the safety out there, rear-end type collisions, that type of thing. So they unveiled those preliminary plans to the public, and those meetings will continue. I expect there'll be other public meetings as we continue on. But this is still part of that phase 1 planning engineering phase. So after this is complete, then they will go on ahead into the design plans, and then probably a couple of years down the road start thinking about construction.
And so there are many steep driveways entering Route 29 from the bluff side of Route 29, and those, IDOT now has different restrictions about the grade, is that correct?
Well, they consider this, and as this road is actually pushing a little bit further to the west because they can't go east. So that's one of the big issues they'll have with these driveways. If they're already existing very steep, they don't want many of them to get any steeper. So that's the main design consideration that will affect several properties on the west side.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Aldridge on that?
So you still think it's several years out before construction
I
starts?
think so. The schedule they gave probably take another year to get through this phase 1 portion of the project, and then a year and a half, maybe 2 years for the actual construction plans phase before they get to construction.
That would be the bidding process?
Yes, yeah, and then, probably a year and a half, maybe up to 2 years for construction. It's a major project.
Boy, they don't move very quickly.
It's a
Surprising we have any roads at all.
It's a long, and we'll get into some of this with, for example, Prospect Road. There's a lot of agencies to communicate with, a lot of coordination. It involves federal money, and so there is a lot of coordination with projects like this.
And, it doesn't seem like it, but there are a lot of properties along, we started counting them up a long time ago about how many properties were along the road, and they have to deal with each one of those property owners, so.
I'm sure they're going to be pretty happy about the turn lane, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if I lived there, I'd almost open the door for them.
The public safety aspect, I think, is the most critical. But as Wayne pointed out, originally they wanted to put the bike lane on the east side, but with the railroad track there, it just wasn't feasible. So there's some, also, and not in defense of IDOT, but there are some huge engineering challenges, as you'd think, when the road gets into the narrows. So, I mean, there's a lot of excavation that's going to have to take place to widen that road and put a bike lane in. So it's no easy feat, but the engineers can handle that.
So, yeah, we've been continuing to coordinate with them, and I think there's another meeting yet this month with IDOT, and then we'll continue on. And there will be agreements between the village and IDOT as we go on. There may be some features that we wish to include in the project that IDOT doesn't typically pay for. So those things will all have to be discussed in the next several years as well.
Wayne, when those public meetings happen, do you mind just forwarding them to the board, just letting us know when those are occurring?
These meetings specifically were more targeted, I would say, but yeah, we'll do that.
If it's an open meeting, just, yeah, that'd be something.
They're called a public meeting, but they're really an open house. That's the way I describe it. I mean, there's a time period where you can come in and talk to the engineers. There's no formal presentations, but they have their drawings, and they meet individually with property owners or citizens who have questions. So yeah, that's a great idea. You should all know it.
Is that bike lane supposed to connect to the trail?
It will connect to the trail system and the bridge and things to the south.
Like around the Journal Star?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those areas, and then there'll be a trail across the bridge too, across the river. So
Okay.
there'll be a system that moves into Peoria and connects with the trail system there. And then to the north, right now, just we'll stop at Gardner Lane, but we're talking on, we talked about Gardner Lane, the county road. Maybe there's some coordination there to try to get that trail to the west, connect to the nature center and things like that. So not to say it couldn't go further north at some point in time, but that's not planned.
Well, enhancing connectivity too, so some of the options Wayne had mentioned, the board talked about in the comprehensive plan and the strategic plan. Do you want to maybe look at some enhanced trails? We want to get people, both for recreation, the ability to get up to the bluff and down to the bluff easier. So would it be a hill hiker? Would it be something like that, or just improved trails? Those are things that you'll all have to consider when we get to that point.
Yeah, and there are grants for those types of things that are fairly, I would say, fairly easy to get. The transportation enhancement grants, things like that, that have been used extensively for trail extensions to connect trails together. So that's an opportunity.
And that's something you should be thinking about
Right.
over parks, because we have Poplar, we have, Bill Felt Park and the Nature Center, some of our parks, some of the Parks District parks that we want to leverage and utilize and make it easier for our citizens to use too. So
Yeah.
that's something you should be thinking on. And
Yeah, I was just thinking it'd be great to have a trail behind BFL Park that connects the two, the upper bluff and lower bluff. That'd be really cool.
so it'd be best if you schedule some time with Wayne over the next few weeks and
Okay.
think about all this. Anyone else? Wayne, you had some other things?
Prospect Road, as you know, we've submitted for earmarks there. I'm pretty hopeful on that. We haven't heard for sure. We need to check some of our sources and our delegation, but very positive on our standing with earmarks. The other funding program has come out called the RAISE program, and no matter if we get earmark or not funding, we'll look at that very closely in the future, if not right now. But the RAISE program is a discretionary federal program that will probably be our biggest source of funding for that entire project. But RAISE has to incorporate sustainability and things like that, which we'll have some meetings on and proposals for the board, what we may want to do out there on that project that will help us, as far as that grant. So pretty positive about those programs. So I hope we know something here in the next several weeks, at least about earmarks.
The earmarks, are you referring to the 1.7 trillion bill that just passed? Okay,
Yes, so.
hopefully there's something.
So everything that happened, as far as we know, in the positive sense happened. It was the omnibus bill, the big bill, got approved right before Christmas, and the president, I think, signed it just before New Year. So we think there's several area projects included. We hope it won't.
All right, anything else? All right, we would be at miscellaneous business. Any miscellaneous?
Mayor, I just have one thing. I wanted to update the board on a couple properties, the Rouse property and the Lake property. There's been some questions on why those haven't been demolished. I just kind of want to go through the process on that. I think there's a little confusion on certain people's part on how that gets done. First of all, we're dealing with a few different things. One, the Rouse address did just come down Friday. The Lake address, it's in the process. It's on its, actually, the last phase. Then we can go out for demo, which I've already been in contact with the company to set up a schedule. But it's a little bit more complicated than you would think, because one, the investigation from the police department, the investigation from the fire marshal's office, and also the insurance investigation. And once all three of those are done, there's quite a bit of paperwork to be submitted. And once that's done, we can move forward with the demolition. So I know there's been a lot of questions lately on this. I just wanted to clear that up. We are getting close to the Lake address. I was in contact with the fire marshal today, so I expect to hopefully have that down by the beginning of February. So if you have any other questions, or if you have anybody that reaches out to you, feel free to direct them to me, and I can go over this with them at length if need be. So.
And the Rouse property was also in foreclosure, I believe, too.
That was another layer. That property was in foreclosure, so of course we had to get legal involved, so it took a little bit longer, so.
All right. Any questions or any other miscellaneous?
I got one thing. Speaking of lots and houses coming down, when in 2019, maybe it was early 20, we sold a bunch of properties to William Brothers with the expectation they were going to erect houses on them. And to my knowledge, that hasn't happened. Do we know when possibly? Because that was quite a few lots, and we let them go kind of
6 or 8.
reasonably with the expectation that we would see some houses.
Correct. And I know during COVID, we gave them an extension on that at that time, because that's when that would have expired. But it is time to circle back around, because obviously we're on the back end of that. So it's a good topic to bring up, and I will make that phone call this week and find out where we're at, because I know that the agreement that was signed, there was a timeline. And that was the expectation of both parties. But like I said, COVID delayed that a little bit, but I think we're on the backside of that, so we should be moving forward with that. But I'll have an update for the board soon.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I see a house was torn down on Samuel. That appears to be a purchase by Pearl. Have we heard
Correct.
anything about that, what they intend to do with that?
I have not, it's not been rezoned or anything at this point, so, but I have not heard anything, what they're doing with it.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, will you make a note yourself to, when I prepare the agenda, we'll have an update on what Trustee Weisenberg brought up?
Okay.
All right. Anything else? I do have one thing, just to make you aware. I met with the Arts Collaborative back in December, and they had asked me to put on the agenda for tonight, and I agreed about sponsoring an art fair. Well, I didn't realize at the same time, Dustin had met with another group who also wanted to have an art fair on the same day. So rather than bring those two requests to you tonight, we've asked both parties to try and work it out and come to a resolution. So if you hear that, that's what's happening.
So we have two groups wanting to do two different art fairs?
Yes,
Or is
Barb
this-
Malaccio, and then, a few years ago, we were spending a lot of time here at Village Hall, and especially Sarah managing events. So I had said to some people in the community, I thought the village is best at trying to run government and do what we need to be doing, and we should be supportive of the arts, but I would prefer that someone in the community take over all things art related. We labeled Prospect the ACE Corridor, it's Arts, Culinary, and Entertainment, so that a group would manage that, and a group of people did take on that challenge. And one of the requests that I had too is that they would become a 501c3 where they could receive tax-deductible donations. So they organized as a board, they obtained their 501c3, they've raised money and they have money. But then there's another group too that also has been doing some things art-related, and the two groups are now requesting the same day to have an art fair. So
Have both groups done events in the Heights before?
I can't, Dustin, can you?
I don't think, the one group is not doing anything locally, I don't think. Well, they have, it's been a collaborative, I think, with Peoria, not just specific to Peoria Heights like the one group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other miscellaneous? We be at the treasurer's report, Madam Clerk?
As of the end of November, in the village-controlled accounts, there was $7,232,393.37. In the water-controlled accounts, there was $1,982,178.76.
You've heard the treasurer's report. I would ask for a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion or any questions on the report? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, the Treasurer's report is approved. We would be at payment of the bills. I'd ask for a motion to pay the bills.
Make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any question or discussion on the motion, or any question on any of the bills? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, the bills are paid. There being no further business to come before the board, Trustee Gett,
I make a motion to adjourn.
is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? We're adjourned.
Hey, Dustin.